missed it. Cameron Conville joining me for round one, race one of the Australian GTs. There will be compulsory pit stops happening in this race, and the good news, Cam, most of the pros are at the wheel.
Yeah, that'll give them around about 22 minutes maximum, so no more than 55% race distance for the pro driver. And just looking through, Van der Linde, Walsh, Ann Tunes, Fraser Ross and Dean Canto in the Lamborghini Huracan make up the top 5.
So it can be a little bit hard to follow along sometimes, but we've got 6 levels of pro and amateur ranking, so 12 in total. A Pro 1 driver is the very best you can be. So if we sent Jamie Whincup out there, he'd be a Pro 1. AM6 is the exact opposite end of that scale. Pro drivers are not allowed to drive alone. You can't have 2 pros in the one team. Now, the pit stop window is open between 16 and 24 minutes in the race, so right in the middle. And that combination of your grid position and your driver ranking is what makes up that pit stop time. Yeah, we should clarify that the pit stop won't be what you see in a V8 supercar race. In fact, most of them won't even change tyres. It'll literally be come in, hold in the bay. The crew are allowed to go and check pressures, so they're allowed a certain amount of crew on the car, but for a 40-minute race, they'll just hold them for their allocated time. So looking through the information we have in front of us here, you'd have to say Roger Largo, out of the top half a dozen cars, has the shortest stop, so he's looking really dangerous at taking this one out. Okay, Steve Richards starting from pit lane. It's Kelvin Bandel on the front row with Ash Walsh. Watch for the big names at the front. Further back, so many amazing cars to watch out for. We've got Audis, we've got Porsches, we've got Mercedes, we've got the lot, and we're set for the first race of the weekend in the Australian GT Championship. Around the last corner, line them up. 20-year-old South African pole sitter in the Audi, and an all-Audi front row. It's a fast pace to the green flag, and a brand new season of the GTs is go. The Audis race down to the first corner.
I'm not sure if Van der Linde, and they all climb over the curbs. Cold, hard Pirelli compound tyres. Really tricky if you have too much curb when that tyre's cold. Not sure
one in the background. Cameron, one hard and Quinn.
It's Tony Quinn. He's backed that McLaren really hard. I was actually watching the front and just how much of a gap Van der Linde put on the field. Big impact for Tony Quinn. Let's hope he's okay. He's actually just started that car to get it out of the way. I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Mid-engine or rear engine, that's huge damage. And unfortunately for Tony, he had an incident in practice 1. There is one very sad-looking McLaren. Goodness, what a shame.
That has got some major damage. He was due to bring up his 100th race. Dr. Carl on the scene, just ducking in to see if the series owner is okay. Dean Canto looking to the inside here. The 222. Craig Baird running a little bit wide. We relive what happened at the start. He was starting right at the back because he missed one of the qualifying sessions. Wait for it.
Big hit. He tangled. I'm not sure if that was Max Twig. I think it might have been. So let's have a look. So Max is on the outside, just getting air there in the Mercedes, black, white and green. Tony's coming over here. And look, I don't think he's actually seen Max alongside him. Left-hand drive car. So he's moved over to take the line and just bang wheels. And if anything, that's pulled the steering and pulled him quite quickly to the right. So Max was probably a little bit innocent there. And that's just, look, you can see the tyre's already flat. In fact, the tyre's already pulled off the rim. So probably quite a low starting pressure on these cars to do 40 minutes. And he's now a passenger, and this is a huge impact. I would be surprised if that's salvageable. And I think that might be the last we see of Tony Quinn this weekend. Fortunately, it's tyre bundle there, not straight into concrete. Huge impact, though.
Big, big hit.
I'm not sure about the Van der Linde start either. Just he seemed to take off quite early, and you have to maintain speed until you see the green, which is right up to the control line. So whether there's slightly different regs in Europe, but anyway, let's just see if there's any action taken by the race director on that start. And unfortunately, poor Max Twig, who switched from a BMW to the Merc, the innocent party, and that's his race done. Man, he's bolted, hasn't he?
He is checked out here.
4 seconds up the road already on Nathan Antunes.
And he needs to build a gap because Antunes will have a pit stop time that's quite shorter, to the tune of about 16 seconds, as a matter of fact. But Van der Linde pushing on these cold tyres quite nicely. He's up to speed quickly on those cold Pirellis. So Van der Linde leads Antunes. Ash Walsh in third. Fraser Ross sitting there in fourth in the first of the McLarens. And then behind them, we've got Tim Macro pushing on in the Lamborghini. Very experienced open wheel racer, multiple Formula 3 champion. So Audi 1, 2, 3, then McLaren, and then that Lamborghini. So those are the cars inside the top 5. Dean Canto, the first car outside the 5. Roger Largo, who will have the shortest pit stop time out of anyone inside this front pack at the moment, just needs to keep the leaders in sight, and he will lead at the end of this first pit stop sequence. McLaughlin running. Oh, ouch.
Gee, that was a big hit into the back of Aston Martin. That will send him around. Oh, saved it. See, not too bad. The damage can easily damage the rear diffuser, but a lot of damage on the front of that Gallardo.
Now it's Tim Miles at the wheel, sharing that car with Jackson Evans out of McElroy Racing, the Lamborghini. It's an expensive rear ender, that's for sure.
Yeah, maybe just caught out a little bit there. Ash probably slowed the car up, perhaps a bit more than he anticipated.
Oh, and now the bonnet here is flapping around. Let's go to Cameron. We've got him in the pits for this 40-minute race.
Max Twigg just came in. He's changed that front left that had gone down after the Quinn incident. He's back out on track. Steering seems to be fine.
Well, he's got away with that one and hopefully maintain the lead lap, but not looking like that's the case on our timing screen at the moment. Now, it can be quite difficult to follow on strategy-wise for that roar of the V10. But this car is looking very good in terms of how this race will wash out, Cameron. He's going to drive alone in this race today, so not sharing it with Dave Russell like he does in the Enduros. Tim Miles comes in to get that bonnet fixed up. But because of the shorter pit stop time, Roger Largo should come out near the front, if not in the front, after the pit stops.
Absolutely. Tim Macro, who is 2 positions in front of him in the exact same Lamborghini, he has about 10 seconds more, or slightly over, to stop because of his driver ranking, and he'll hand over to his co-driver as well. And the other one to watch is Pete Major, who's just slipped out of the top 10. He also has a sub 1 minute time as well in his pit stop.
Now, they're going to be able to clip this back down, do you think, or they might need a bit of tape on this?
Yep, there's no way they're going to let that out, so you can see Cam's technical commissioner there in pit lane.
Do you have to run the bonnet? Is there a rule that says you have to have it on?
I would say so, because it's part of the homologation of the car, I would think. It's a good question, though.
Yeah, guys, the update. Ewan Cole on the scene. He's the technical official here from Cam.
Cam, sorry, we've got one in the fence here at Santunis. I'll have to interrupt you there because he's gone hard into the fence. And that should be at the centre chicane, exactly where Quinn went in. And you'd have to expect that maybe he's bounced off the curb here, Cameron.
Oh, absolutely. The Audis, and I spoke to Mark Sini over the weekend, they do not ride that turn 1-2 curb very well. And I was just thinking he actually did a 20.5, so he's trying to match Van der Linde's 20.2. He actually found over half a second that last time round. So Nathan Antunis was really pushing to stay with Van der Linde, the factory Audi driver, and I reckon he's taken too much curb. Oh, there it is, and then it just did not. Oh, huge hit. So when it's landed, the car's just bottom out, completely snapped sideways, and you have no room to correct in this part of the track. So he actually understeered, so missed the first part of the curb a little bit, which means he's taken a lot of the second curb. Watch the wheels, though. When you land, you can see he nearly put a bit of correction on in the air. And you need, if you're going to have all 4 in the air, you really need to land with the wheels straight. I mean, he's just a passenger from here on in. Any racetrack, you go into the gravel, but at Clipsal, you're going to find concrete pretty easily.
Wow, actually got the concrete fence
he
on the
did,
inside
yeah.
before.
So potentially that'd be more damage than the McLaren because he's hit on concrete, rear engine car, gearbox, everything's hanging out the back, transaxle. So yeah, that's a real shame. Going for a championship with Greg Taylor, who owns the car.
Unfortunately, might not get to race it here this weekend. Nathan is such a rock-solid choice in co-driver. Safety car has been deployed for this accident, which is not good news for the leaders because they needed to build up a big lead before the pit stop sequence.
And just to clarify, you can't come in now and do your mandatory stop under safety car, so you have to stop under race conditions. So you can come in if you need to, but that's not going to count as your mandatory pit stop. Good news, Nathan's okay.
He looks very disappointed.
Very safe cars, and he's a champion driver, absolutely. And that just shows when you're pushing hard, the pace at the front, you're driving qualifying laps, it can happen to anyone.
He walks away from the centre chicane where we see the Audi, a smoking wreck in the fence. The safety car picks up our leader, Kelvin van der Linde. And, man, That is a big shame for that team because they were absolutely one of the favourites. Cameron.
Greg Taylor, we just saw your car, you own it, and also your co-driver Nathan Anshu's into the fence. Not fun. This track does bite hard.
Yeah, it does. Look, we had a good qualifying. Nathan was running solid there, but it just honestly looks like a bit too much entry speed into one, and two just bites. When you don't get that right, and the cars are so stiff, it just snapped, and that's what happened to him.
Do you wear two different hats as a co-driver? Obviously, you want the best result. As a team owner and a car owner, does that sort of sting a bit more?
No, not really. It is what it is, to be honest. Like, we'll try and get it fixed and come out tomorrow, and we'll be starting from very good, but that's what it is, man.
Yesterday we spoke to Nathan Anshuns and said that you guys are giving a fair crack at the championship this year, obviously. This puts you behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it does, but, like it's early days. It's the first race. We'll build back from here, and still got 2 races to go this weekend to see if we can get a result for the weekend. But I'm sure it looks like we'll be able to get it repaired anyway. It doesn't look too bad.
Thanks, Greg.
No worries, thanks.
Saw Elliot Barber in the background, the 3rd driver in that team for the 12-hour. Nathan Anshunas won this event back in 2015. Now swerving after turn 10, I don't think is allowed.
I don't think Van der Linde has quite comprehended the regulations, because when the lights go out, there's no weaving. So if we're consistent with the rules that were applied at the 12-hour, that will be a penalty. And he seems to have absolutely gapped Ash Walsh again on the restart. So let's just keep an eye on any chat from race control over that. But certainly the rules are clear. Maintain speed, no weaving when the lights are extinguished on the safety car.
Well, this will have Rod Wilson and the team in race control diving for the rule book. We'll see how it plays out for Kelvin van der Linde, the pole sitter. Last 5 pole positions at this track taken by drivers of 5 different nationalities. We'll add South Africa to that list here this weekend. This could fall into Ash Walsh's hands if he does get a penalty. There is the look inside race control.
So that front row there, so Rod Wilson just moving over to the left, had a lot of experience in GT, back in Oscar, NASCAR, Formula Holden. So he's the new driving standards observer for GT, taking on that role this weekend. He was category manager for GT Asia last year, so a lot of experience with these cars. So you can see they're already in consultation about that one.
The Melbourne Performance Centre are an incredibly professional team. They've got people like Eric Pender on the team as well. Now we'll just check out a replay of exactly what we're talking about here. When those lights in the safety car go out, you're not allowed to warm the tyres up.
Look at that.
Left to right.
That's pretty clear. So that'll be a penalty. I'm going early here, Chav, but that'll definitely be a penalty.
When you've got a driver that's not driven in this category before, as Steve Richards goes up the inside, is it on the team members to get onto the radio to just remind everyone what the rules are?
Oh, look, 100%. An MPCR. We're thinking about repairing that Audi. If anyone can repair that Audi, it's Melbourne Performance Centre, right? They're very good at it. So the engineer should say, OK, lights are out, or lights are now out, mate, whatever. And it's generally maintain speed, no weaving. So something's got lost there.
You know what it might have been? That restart happened so quickly that maybe they didn't get a chance to get the message across. It might have been a quick restart.
But the onus is also on the driver to know the rules. That's why you sit in drivers' briefings. The lights were clearly out. The reason that one, it's a safety angle, but 2, you can see when he's doing that, left to right, you don't know when he's going to accelerate. So if anything, you can see he actually got quite a gain. It sort of throws the opposition off what he's doing with the throttle. So there's a couple of reasons for it.
Now, we're not too far away from the window opening here as well, about 5 minutes. So 51 past the hour local time is when the pit stops will begin. And that's when we'll really jumble this field up in terms of the running order on the track, because guys at the front have quite a considerably longer pit stop than some of them around. Van der Linde, for example, 1 minute 29 is his pit stop. Largo, 32 seconds less.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Totally, absolutely. And I'd say this is a great drive by Tim Macro, P4. So just behind Fraser Ross and ahead of the new Lamborghini Huracan. So the Reiter spec Gallardo, 2015 or 2014 model, ahead of the new Huracan there of Dean Canto. So driving well, Tim, particularly with the experience Dean's had around here, V8 supercars over the years and other categories. On board the GT3R, Liam Talbot, car 911. Getting on the throttle here, you can't rush the throttle up over that curve. 4th, grab 5th gear here. This is the exciting part of the track, turn 8. See just a slight lift back on the throttle, so about 200 kilometres an hour minimum corner speed through turn 8 there.
So fast. Late under brakes down at turn 9.
Back to first gear there, short shifted to second just to get good drive traction.
Well, it's good news, bad news for Kelvin van der Linde. Good news is he just set a lap record. Bad news is he's going to get pinged for that. Weaving word out of race control is a pit lane penalty will be handed out, and he's serving it on this lap. So van der Linde, the leader, is in the pit lane right now, and Ash Walsh will take the lead. So we see a change of the lead. He was trying so hard to build up a lead, but unfortunately for van der Linde, there he goes. He's been slapped on the wrists.
Co-driver with van der Linde is Jeff Emery. Jeff, it's great to see you back. We'll talk about the penalty first, mate. With the team on top of it, did they actually speak to him about weaving under the safety car?
Oh, look, I haven't got a radio, so I don't really know what was going on there. But obviously, Calvin's done a lot of racing in Europe and stuff, and that's not an issue over there. And I guess it's just a matter of him coming accustomed to our rules over here and sort of getting this thing sorted out. So obviously, it's teething problems, but Calvin's done a brilliant job so far this weekend. He's been top of the seats every session, so I'm sure he'll drive back from here.
And also a lap record just done as well. Now, very quickly, it's great to see you back after that big accident we did see over in the West. How's the body pulled up now, and how's the head pulled up as well?
Yeah, look, I was a bit worried about the head first off. Obviously, I got a running the qualifying session yesterday afternoon for the first time, and 2 or 3 laps in, no worries. I just started looking for braking markers and got back on with it again. I was having a ball, so it's great. Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thanks, Jeff.
No worries at all. Thanks, guys.
It's great to have him back. We've got a very fired up South African on the track here. Yeah. The headlights flashing, saying to Tony Walls, a race winner here last year, get out of the way.
It's going to be good to watch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's an interesting point that clearly the Blancpain Series or European GT3, which is what the Australian Championship is modelled off, clearly you're allowed to weave under the safety car as he dive bombs in. So it seems to be more of an Australian-centric rule, but again, you've got to read the regs at the read your driver's briefing notes, and if anything, yeah, as you say, just needed to be reminded over the radio. But he's just in muscle memory, you know, what he's used to racing in Europe. So he'll be disappointed at that, but he's already to serve a drive through and still be P11. It's not a bad effort.
Scott Taylor's doing a really good job here in the STM car. We would have thought Craig Baird might start, given that most of the other pro drivers have started, but Taylor, oops, as he runs it a bit wide down there, may have even been helped by Stephen Richards. Gets relegated back 1 or 2 spots, and another one here with Tony Walls. Needs to know he's there, and he doesn't.
Contact, there's definitely contact. There's some carbon or bodywork, so you just got to watch Scott Taylor. He doesn't have a puncher because it was right front contact. Very easy in these cars with the bodywork sitting so close to get a puncher with a bit of wheel rubbing.
Car 74 actually got a pit lane penalty last year in the hands of Christopher Mees for contact made down at turn 9. So pole position and penalties all round for the 74 back-to-back years.
So Ash Walsh gets up to 3 seconds ahead of Fraser Ross, a 1:20.6, so about 8/10 quicker last time round.
The window has been open for 5 seconds. I wonder if anyone's going to pop in on this lap. Now, typically, if you've got your pro driver in the car, you'd run it long, as far into the race as you could, which will be the 22-minute mark of the race, which in reality is about 1 lap away. It would have been tight, but they could have got Scott Taylor in on that lap if they'd wanted to. Here comes van der Linde up the inside of Stephen Richards, not there.
It is Richo in the car, so he's flashing his lights, but I don't think you're going to get an invitation from Stevie Richards. I can tell you I've raced him. He's a fair racer, but he's a hard racer, and there's no way he's going to let him through easily. So I'm not sure if van der Linde knows who's in the car, but you're got a multiple national champion and Bathurst winner. He's not going to put his finger out the window and wave you through.
Let's see how they go in a straight line then.
The BMW, a lot of upgrades to that car, particularly for the 12 out, was really quick up there. Turbo versus normally aspirated of the Audi. And braked well too. He had to think about it, but not really close enough to try and make a pass there. Still flashing the lights.
Kelvin, Stephen, Kelvin.
Yeah.
Now that the intros are done.
I can personally say when someone flashes the lights, it usually, to me, means, you know what, I'll make it harder now. Unless you're a lap down, of course. Oh, he's tried up the inside there.
He's frustrated.
He's not going to be very patient here.
So the first of the pit stops happening right now. Tim Miles comes in. We should see Jackson Evans hop into this car.
So just a tyre pressure bleed down for the rest of the race.
Don't see Jackson anywhere to be seen down there.
Van der Linde's quite close now, but he's going to be too far back there with the bumps to try and get through. Very aggressive driving style, so he's putting a lot of pressure on Stephen Richards.
Bates, Griffith, McMillan, Hovey, all in the lane. No driver change for Bates or Griffith, but McMillan and Hovey will both hand over the reins. Glenn Wood will hop in the Lamborghini. They actually took out this round last year.
So watch the power of the BMW. He's got the flashes on still. He's going to be wearing out that button on the steering wheel, the headlight flashes. And Richo's just putting his head down and trying a little bit harder. Let's see, this will be a big dive down the inside here. No. So the BMW, just that little bit stronger top end speed.
Tony Bates exiting pit lane and the move at net entry. Quite a short pit stop here for Tony, so he'll come flying out ahead of quite a few of the heavy hitters after they've served their pit stops.
This is a spot here. Oh, it's a dive. Just got a gut feel this is not going to end well. I don't think he's going to be patient. So he's close here. You're not going to pass into one, so he probably needs to brake a bit earlier and get a really good run out of turn 2 and up the hill. And this is where he could do it into turn 4. He's closer than the last lap. Yep, I think he'll go here.
Oh.
Over the bumps, the ABS will be going crazy, and Richo gives him room.
Good racing. Fraser Ross to the right-hand side. He's in pit lane, handing over to Com Ledegar, the French star. Richo not giving an inch here, though. Covers the inside line.
He lost a bit of time there, and this is where he needs to be strong. The BMW's very good between turn 7 and 8 and 8 and 9. He just needs, realistically, he's got 2 spots because he's too far back here. So it's the last turn into turn 14 and up into turn 4.
Mike Griffith here in the Hog's Breath. Oh.
Hanging in there, isn't he?
He's nice and close to the action right now. Van der Linde's having none of that. It's been quite a few laps. Are they best to... they want to try and maximise Van der Linde all the way to the 22 mark of this race, 22-minute mark. Now, Richo's saying, I'm coming in here. It's an awkward pit entrance, so sometimes indicating just lets the other guy know, don't get too close. I'm about to weave off to the right.
Good job by Steve Richards.
Made a nuisance of himself out there. Excellent work.
All fair, though.
It's great racing.
There wasn't any blocking going on, that's for sure.
Got to make the rookies work hard for it. That young driver's half his age. Showed him a thing or two about racing then. Great to watch.
So here's James Bergmiller, runs out, so you can't start your driver change until the car comes to a complete stop.
Oh,
look at the bodywork.
Wow.
So that just shows you the forces that go up through the dampers, through the chassis of these cars.
It's like watching a boxer get punched in slow motion as the ripples go flying through the car.
So Major, Talbot and Steve Richards, P10, 11, 12. Look, all lined up together and in the pit bay together. So this will be interesting. Talbot's not going to get out there, so they'll have to push him back.
It's an awkward one for Major to get out of there.
Hopefully the Porsche moves off first, which looks like it is.
Move it into
its bay a bit more. Move it forward. So he actually hasn't stopped. Or that's an odd one.
Have seen a bit of that in the past where it's just so busy down there that they do push cars around a bit during the pit stops. Remember Townsville, that happened on that occasion. Major heads out, former WA Formula 4 champion, and Liam Talbot, who just seems to win everything that he enters. Very handy AM-class driver.
So Dean Canto leads the race at the moment. I don't think he's come in as yet, so he'll be in this lap.
Spare parts flying out of the 44 there. Sorry, Cam, to interrupt. We had a seat insert and a drink bottle.
You just got to get it done, don't you? There's generally no hurry, mind you. I mean, we know V8 supercar drivers can do it in 15 seconds. There's a little bit more mucking around in these cars, and they're tighter to get in and out of. But, you know, on average, you've got a minute. So you don't really need to rush your pit stop. I mean, they're even having a chat there.
A bit of a debrief.
Yeah, probably do that later, but he's obviously not too happy about something. So Jeff Emery in the car. Van der Linde was very entertaining to watch. Jumps out. He's helping Emery with his driver change, so you can have someone do that for you, or you can choose the drivers to do that.
The objective McLaren in the pits also.
This should be Canto's in lap, I would imagine.
He's taken it quite far into the race. 22 minutes was the maximum driving time. It's 22 minutes and 55 seconds into the race. leave that one up to them.
Yeah, very tight. Well, it would be reference to when he crossed the control line, I would imagine, so might have just snuck in. So the only Lamborghini Huracan in the field. Jim Manolis, the car owner, jumping in.
One of the older model Lambos on the way out. Brendan Gould at the wheel. Here comes Liam Talbot, so he gets ahead of, importantly, the objective McLaren. These guys will be fighting for position here. And then the Ovo car running a little bit wide down there under brakes. James Konduras at the wheel, so picked up a race win here last year, sharing that car with Marcus Marshall. And the Trofeo Motorsports still in the lane cam.
Grab Steve Richards after a great little battle with Vanderlinde out there, mate. Looked in the mirrors. You must have been shocked to see him there.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he came from, to be honest. He obviously came out of pit lane, but yeah, it's great. This championship allows the opportunity for all of us guys to race against those European factory drivers, and it's always good. They put a bit of pressure on you. They can sometimes teach old dogs new tricks.
And then you hand over to your AM drivers who are going to continue the battle out there.
Yeah, that's right. It's a great concept, being able to pair pros with AMs and help the AMs develop as better drivers, and at the same time we get a good rush out of it as well.
Yeah, driving some very cool cars. Well done, Steve.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks.
He's still got it. He's still so talented. What a career it's been. Since winning the Formula 4 Championship back in 1994, he has been fast everywhere. So much success in Carrera Cup. Obviously after a huge supercars campaign. Now this is tight. Largo wanting to defend down here at turn 1. He's on cold tyres. Major's got his tyres up to temperature.
Yeah, he's done a lap. He needs to go up the inside, Pete Major, and get past, because it's showing that he's a lap down. I'm not sure what's happened, how that's the case, but he actually needs to get that lap back somehow.
Oh.
So Chris Durnbus engineering this car and doing a really good job for Pete's debut, having never driven a GT3 car up until last week. Doing a great job, but that's the master in front of him of driving these cars. Roger Largo's had more success than anyone else in Australia driving this particular model.
Oh, this is tight. Turn 8. Are those tyres up to temperature yet for Largo? One way to find out. Hold your breath. Go through turn 8. See where we end up. That's good racing. So Tony Bates, now the leader from Largo. Then this man in third. That's Liam Talbot. Gragul under attack here from Tony Walls. A race winner last year, goes deep up the inside. Good move. Oh no, overcooks it.
Yeah, just outbraked himself a little bit. Probably got squeezed a bit off the grippiest part of the circuit. So Tony Bates now leads the way from Roger Largo, who we just saw a moment ago. Liam Talbot.
Some fair distances opened up there at the front. You've got Bates 7.5 seconds up the road from Roger Largo. The tyre temp's just coming up for him right now. And then this chasing back pack further back includes McLaughlin. Oh no, Manolius on cold tyres has had a moment. Doesn't look like he's struck anything. Oh, it's just, okay, down at the hairpin, so just looped it around.
Over-rotated it, so just trying to restart the Huracan. There's no foot clutch in that particular car, so it's brake pedal, hand clutch and starter button together. So did he get a tap from Ash Samadi? Let's have a look. He's gone in pretty deep there. Yeah, he's just turned in, not knowing he's there. Oh. And got a helping hand. I think Ash was a fair way up the inside. Looked like he braked quite late, Jim, but probably just needed to give him a little bit more room and not turn in quite as aggressively, and he's having trouble restarting that. So let's see what could be a safety car if he can't move it.
So Ash has had a Lambo on the back and a Lambo on the front in this race.
Wrong Lambo, maybe it was for payback.
So there it is down at turn 9.
I'm surprised that should, yeah, away he goes now. It's going to say once he finds neutral, hand clutch, starter button, it should restart. So just looking for a safe spot to get going again.
So
actually no damage, no noticeable damage. So obviously got him right in the wheel.
Com Ledigar here now on Ash Samadi. This is for position 9 to be precise.
So we're talking about a factory McLaren driver here from Europe, so he'll be a lot quicker than Ash.
A Blancpain GT champion as well, by the way.
So Ash, I'm sure, will just let him go. There's a big queue up of cars here, though.
Gragul is the cork in the bottle. Let's see how they play. The objective McLaren wants a piece of the action at turn 4. It's a brave because it's such a late braking marker and it's bumpy as well, which makes life difficult. Steve McLaughlin there with the Valvoline signage on the car. Then James Konduras, Mark Griffith out the back.
All the car owners of these cars, so they've had their high gun jump out, and it's over to the car owners to bring it home with 9 minutes remaining. So this is a good little battle. Fourth, pretty much right down to ninth.
You're never going to win a drag race with the Lamborghini here. That's why. See, Walls had such good overlap, but the Lambo, the big V10, drives away from the turbo power of the V8 McLaren.
McLaren should be stronger under brakes. It's a newer car, but Grigul brake. Oh, he's got a tap.
Good old-fashioned bump and run as Tony Walls sends him.
Walls has given him a little sneaky rub from behind. He was blocking, so Rod Wilson might let that go. He was driving down the inside, which is really prohibited, say, for the last lap or two. So he gave him a bit of a helping hand, but he's lost 4 spots out of that.
Just picked him up and moved him off the racing line. He's got a Bachelor of Mathematics, Tony Walls, the Objective McLaren. Very successful businessman, been a long-time supporter of the Australian youth sailing team, as well as his exploits racing. Says he treats his business like a sport. Very competitive businessman, a very competitive sportsman.
And his son quite high up in karting at the moment, so he might have to take a back seat soon when he gets older and son comes through.
He and a few others. We saw
racing.
Stephen Richards earlier, his son Clay racing in the Australian Kart Championships. Next round's on in Geelong, I think. That's all kicking off quite soon. A few teams have been testing here in Adelaide this week for the Australian Kart Championship. Great to see the next wave of races coming through. So Tony Bates leading, that lead staying quite steady at 7.5 seconds. Here he is.
Largo really second. Steady drive, isn't he? He's just crept up on this. I mean, he's really gapped Largo.
Lights are flashing, leader coming through.
So let's see, 22.2 last time round. That's a really handy lap. 21.6 early on.
So that's a lap car. Here comes second now, Largo, with David Russell giving him instructions on the radio. He took 4/10 out of him on that lap. 7 and a bit minutes left. 8 minutes on our clock on the screen ticking over now. So he's got a few laps to work with here. A bit more traffic will help his cause. Can he catch him? Can he pass him?
So he was 2/10 slower last time round, so he really needs to start taking half-a-second chunks, which looking at, they actually seem quite evenly matched at the moment. You can see that screen there to the right, so that's the rear vision mirror. Very hard to see out of these cars, so there's a camera in the back between the tail lights, and that's his rear vision mirror, similar to your reverse parking camera on your road car. You try not to look in it too much. You can see out through the side mirrors, not too bad, but obviously there's no centre mirror in most of these GT3 cars. Look at how much lock just to get through that tight hairpin there.
Be interested to see what kind of lap times these two drivers are doing at the front of the field, because remember, they are not full-time race car drivers. They're not professionals like your Craig Lowndes or your Garth Tander. They are gentlemen drivers who have day jobs and then do this on their weekends to have some fun. But they lap incredibly quickly, given everything that I've just said. So 1:23.6 there for Bates, and Largo goes 22.8, 8/10 quicker on that lap.
And that was a strange lap for, maybe Tony Bates had traffic, but he dumped 1.2 seconds. So Largo's got the headlights on, he's got the drive lights on, or the Rushu lights or something in the middle there. So he's going to have a go. It's down to 6.3 seconds. So effectively needs a second a lap. So he needs to just hope that Bates gets an ordinary run through the traffic and he can just pick his way through a little cleaner.
Winner of race 1 here last year in the Australian GT Championship, Roger Largo. Talbot is third. He's trying to catch the lot of them. Turning 1 minute 22 second laps earlier in this race in this Walkinshaw GT3 Porsche. Here he goes through turn 8. Yeah, a bit of that inside curb. Oh. The brakes, he's going to run it a bit wide there.
He was very wide. So even though they've got ABS, you can still, you know, it could still grab more rear bias, more front bias. There's a good little battle through the traffic here. O'Donnell firing it up the inside. And look, I think that might be Evans, is it, in that car?
Should be in that car now after the pit stop.
Lamborghini.
If he is indeed actually driving with him this weekend, maybe he's just focusing his efforts on Carrera Cup. It does still say on our timing stream that Miles is in that car. So Largo's done a good job there. He's cleared quite a few of them, but as a result, he was a whole 2 seconds slower on that lap than the leader. So that traffic cost him 2 seconds. That could just about be the game, set, match right there. That is Miles doing the solo driving. So Evans was meant to drive that car. Interesting that they've withdrawn him from the event.
On Carrera Cup.
Probably a good idea. So there's your leader. Bit of a lead now, opening up to 7.4 seconds. Although Bates actually lost a whole second lapping that Audi that we just saw pop into frame. Largo setting chase. Talbot trying to catch the lot of them, but he's 5 seconds back on Largo. I think these pit stop times have worked out okay for the AM class solo drivers. They're 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the moment.
James Bergmuller 14th, so we were watching Stevie Richards run around there, so he's pretty much in the middle of the pack at the moment. Onto the ABS here.
The drive-through penalty in this venue gives you about 23, 24 seconds worth of time, which is what Kelvin van der Linde had to serve earlier. So he would have been near that front pack had he not had to serve that. Well, at least Jeff Emery would be after taking control of that car.
So that was McMillan, I think, just going through the other Lamborghini.
And that'll be Glenn Wood in the car now. So yeah,
right, up into 10th.
Charging on the 8. Brother of Dale, if you are wondering. Here comes Craig Baird up the inside. So Baird will be starting this car for race 2, because you're not allowed to start in races 1 and 2 in that car. You have to swap it over to the other driver. So he'll be one of the only pro-ranked drivers starting race 2 tomorrow. So he'll be sidling through the pack.
There should be 2 more laps to go, so you have to think now that he can get up into the top 10, or well into the top 10, now into P10. So he's got Glenn Wood in his sights. So this will put him in good stead for the next race. Tony Bates still 6.9 seconds ahead of Roger Largo. Solid drive for Liam Talbot. First time for him in Australia sharing a car. He did a couple of the GT endurance events late last year as a co-driver to John Martin.
A class win as well, wasn't it, at the 12-hour? 4th outright for an AM class team is just a huge effort. Here's Manolius getting lapped here by the leader, a move at net. Mercedes looking very clean. 12 months ago, we saw this model of Mercedes debut. Picked up their first ever win, I think internationally, at the Grand Prix. It was the first time we saw the newer model Mercedes, which was launched at the 12-hour last year, take a race win.
He's had a lot of experience now, Tony Bates, Carrera Cup Elite Series champion.
You know, he's won the last 9 races at this track in the challenge class for Carrera Cup.
There you go.
So clean swept the last 3 years. He loves this track, loves street circuits, actually, Tony Bates. Very strong.
Raced an Audi last year to the Melbourne Performance Centre. So he's driven a few different cars over the last 3 years. An
Aston Martin this year, wasn't he?
Yep, so a switch only about 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
After a test at Winton. So switched from the Decky Stone Racing into the Merc. Looks like a pretty good choice, doesn't it, at the moment?
I'd just love to have those choices available. What will I drive this year? Audi, Aston? You know what, I'll go to the Mercedes. Dying laps of race 1 in the championship. Bates leading from this man, Roger Largo. That gap back out to 7.2 seconds. So it's toing and froing. And I wonder if David Russell's probably just told Roger, you know what, let's just take second here and take the points. Because he was leading this time last year in race 3 and sent it off down the escape road down there on the last lap. And then crashed into the wall trying to do a flick turn to get out of there, which made life worse. Ended up picking up a DNF. Probably doesn't need to be reminded of that.
No.
Here's Grigul, who's actually pretty steady sitting in 11th. He's held his position quite nicely. Emery trying to pick him off for that 11th spot. Great to see Jeff Emery back racing again after that nasty injury he sustained in Western Australia. His first race since that accident.
So we're under the last minute, the last 30 seconds. And Tony Bates is now out to 8.7 seconds.
It's
so
done.
Solid drive.
This one is over. Just needs to bring it home. Now, will he get one to go here, or will they show him the checkers? Tony Bates driving on through. Looks like he might be getting off on the last lap. Yep, didn't see checkered flag out the back. So this will be the final lap of the race now for our race leader, Tony Bates, who's going to continue his incredible form around the Adelaide Parkland circuit. He's got a comfortable 8-second buffer. We're looking at that buffer right now. Back to the flying Lamborghini. Finally, Largo's got a bit of clear racetrack between himself and the leader, but it's too late. This is why a lot of gentleman drivers have chosen this category, because you get to actually compete at the front and win. You're not fighting for class wins, you're fighting for outright wins. Granted, there's a rule book that brings them to the front, but they still have to drive a clean race to stay there, and it's exactly what we've seen from Bates.
Yeah, I think they've got the mix just right. You know, in the endurance series, it's a bit different. This year with GT Endurance, they'll be up to 500-kilometre races. So different strategies come into play, the different strengths of the cars, and in this sprint series, you can actually have an amateur driver, compete right up the pointy end on the adjusted pit stop times, and that's good because most of these drivers are the car owners, so they should be allowed to take success and enjoy it.
Well, here we go, last corner. And I think he's pretty happy about this one. That's 10 straight race wins at this venue for Tony Bates across Carrera Cup and now the GTs. Roger Largo chases him home for second. It's a gentleman driver's day out as they fill the top 3 spots. Liam Talbot will be home for third. 15.9 seconds off the pace. Here comes the Porsche. Amazing looking car with Mega Fuels on board. Queensland company, Queensland driver, and he's happy about that. Top 3 on debut in the Australian GT Championship. Tony Wall's home for 4th. And you might say, well, the pit stop times are clearly too long if the distance on track is this long. But remember, that safety car early in the race took away a big advantage for the pro drivers. So we'll never know what could have been had it ran safety car free. A couple of nasty ones early on for Antunes and Quinn in the fence down at turn 1. But it's Tony Bates who will take the race win and now can have a breath of fresh air because it's warm out there, and 40 minutes of that, Cameron, that'll build up a healthy sweat. Bates from Largo, not actually sharing that car with Russell. Russell choosing just to get on the radio and give him some advice this week. Talbot home for 3rd. Walls, Konduras and Walsh a good drive for 5th. Griffith a 6th place finish, a really good effort from his Mercedes. Outside, well, what could have been for Van der Linde and Emery, unfortunately that little indiscretion I should say, behind the safety car leading to a penalty, and DNFs there for Antunes and Quinn. Yasser Shaheen, the local driver, not getting a start after hurting his Lamborghini in qualifying.